personally speaking, and I'm just obviously can only speak for myself. I'm a bit reluctant to engage in anything or support anything which potentially would result in the team not getting the support that it needs, mainly because I think it desperately needs support at the moment. I think we're on a bit of a knife edge, as James and I have discussed, given injuries to key players, lack of recruitment, all the reasons that we've gone over many times. However, and also really things are going to change. Meaningful change will come about not through sort of if I say student politics, I don't mean that disrespectfully, but fan protest and banners and so forth alone won't force change. I think it's very difficult practically to starve the board out as we did in '94. The situation is completely different, totally different scenario to that. Change will have to come through shareholder corralling of shareholders, a building of a power base, and then sort of soft power and playing that sort of corporate game over a long term. Now, that's not to say that fan protest doesn't have a part in that. I think it does. It's very useful. It keeps supporters focused on the issues, and it keeps the media focused on the issues as well. So it's very important. I think I'm not going to nitpick about the specifics of what the protests are at this stage. I think it was a well-intentioned and reasonably well-executed protest of its type. I think Paul John Dykes of AXCOM was actually, they've been through and actually counted the people in the away, and they know how many tickets were sold, and I think something like 75% of the Celtic fans with tickets actually observed the protest. So I think that's pretty successful, really. To be fair to them, to do it in terms of the objectives, and you got to also consider the fact that as you say, Laura, that there might be some people. There's a lot of people, in fact, the majority of Celtic fans don't spend their lives on social media, have probably never heard of this podcast, or maybe not even Axel or any other social media platforms, and don't care one jot for what any of us say, and that's fine, and that's probably the majority of the fans, if I'm honest. Um, and there'll be those who had to get into the ground early because maybe they had, whether it's mobility issues or whether they got young children and they just needed to get their seat and all that kind of stuff. So there's also a whole host of reasons why people would want. Some people maybe objected to it, and that's that's also fine. Didn't agree with it, So all these reasons come into it. So I'm not going to nitpick again about the whys and wherefores of how that could have been a higher number. I think the point was made. It was recognised on Sky TV. That's huge coverage right there. It was recognised at the game. The banners were shown, and all that. So, and it was discussed openly on the live broadcast. What the issues were. So, to my mind, that does the job of keeping Celtic fan issues in front and centre as far as the agenda is concerned. So it's big tick, I think, in that sense, job done, and hopefully minimal impact on the team on the pitch, really. But going forward, I can't speak for what will happen. But as I say, I think protest and visible fan opinion has its place, but ultimately we need to think about how we're going to, um, you know, change, influence the Celtic senior leadership through, shareholder agitation, if I put it that way, shareholder disruption in the first instance. And as I say, that it's kind of dull and it's kind of long, but it is the best way, I think, to success.